One of my favourite countries in Southeast Asia is Indonesia. Besides the warmth of its people and its rich culture, Indonesia really is a country on the move. Few people outside Asia know little about Indonesia, but it's hard to deny its presence when there are 250 million people, 50% of which are under the age of 35. That means there are more young people in Indonesia than there are in the US. Think of that as an opportunity, as a market to explore. When it comes to technology, young Indonesians are quick to get on board. They're quick to embrace the entrepreneurial hustle. Like my next guest on Founder FM, she's helping revolutionize the publishing industry in Indonesia, as well as helping young Indonesian startup founders get ahead. Auliah Halimatussadiah, or Ollie as she's better known, is a mentor, entrepreneur, founder, and author based in Jakarta, Indonesia. In this interview, we'll talk about what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur in Indonesia, and importantly, what it takes to be a successful female entrepreneur. Ollie's the founder of Zeta Media, Nulis Buku, Storyal, and the Girls in Tech event series. From a young age, Ollie has had a passion for books, the passion involved into writing, and she's published over 25 books. But being a prolific writer has generated many of its own problems. How does an author connect with fans? Ollie looked around for solutions in Indonesia. There were plenty of authors, plenty of fans, but the traditional publishers weren't doing a lot to connect the two together. That's why she set up Nulis Buku, an online publishing platform which now has over 150,000 authors. Storyal, too, is a service to help authors connect and co-write their books with fans. So, come with me to Jakarta, Indonesia, to hear the story and learn from Ollie.
Founder FM. You're listening to Founder FM with your host, Graham Brown.
Hello and welcome to Founder FM. My name is Graham Brown. Today I want to introduce you to a mentor, an entrepreneur, a founder in Jakarta, Indonesia. We're going to talk about what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur in Indonesia and what it also takes to be a successful female entrepreneur. I want to introduce you to Auliah Halimatussadiah, also known as Ollie. Ollie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Graham. Thanks for having me.
Did I do a good job of pronouncing your name?
Yes. Good job so far.
All right, so far. That's not the easiest. So you're in Indonesia, you're in Jakarta, but you're originally from Yogyakarta, which is a city out to the east, right? Which we were just talking about off air there, right? So tell us a little bit about your background first.
I was born in Jogja, but only born there. But the rest of my teenager life, I spent with my dad going around Indonesia. So a little bit of background in Indonesia. Indonesia is the biggest economy in Southeast Asia, and we have 17,000 islands, and I think more than 5 big islands. So I follow my dad from island to island. Every 3 years we're moving out. And then I entered a university in Jakarta in 2001. So that's how the first time I learned web as a web developer. I've been loving technology since I was in junior high school. My dad back then gave me my first computer, was a laptop, and then with the internet connection back in 1997 in Indonesia, not many people has it. And then after sometimes I realized that making a website is kind of cool. So I started to learn how to do it myself. And in high school, I started making websites for my teacher, for my friends. And that's how I want to become a web developer in the first place. Then I learned how to do it in university. And when I graduate, I work as a web developer in a web consultant in Jakarta for 2.5 years. Then I resigned to be entrepreneur.
Right. So let's have a look at that story. We'll go back and look at it a bit more in depth in a minute. But let's have a look at what you're doing right now. You are involved in 3 companies and also 2 event projects we'll talk about. You are the co-founder of Zeta Media, the founder of Nulis Buku, which we'll talk about as the online store for the online self-publishing website, Storyal, Girls in Tech, which is a regular program and a meetup for young female entrepreneurs in Indonesia, and also Startup Local. You're pretty busy, right?
I am. Happy.
So, of all of those, Zeta Media is your current main focus, right? And you have these other projects. You have the Nulis Buku, which is the book self-publishing website, Storyal as well. Where did you actually start your entrepreneurial journey? Let's start there and sort of work our way towards what you're doing today.
Okay, I started early back in my primary school. I was my dad in Indonesia. We are having this big annual festival. We call it Eid, and every Eid, my dad will get a lot of gifts from his friends, and I will go and took one of the gifts, usually cookies, and I will bring it to school and start selling the cookies to my friends. That's how I know that, like, I love money.
You
From
love
the
selling.
I love selling from the very beginning. Then
But
going
these were
forward,
gifts. Did your parents find out about this?
yeah, much later they find out, like, because I didn't show them the money either, but I suddenly have a lot of things. And then in my university, I start selling other things like pearls, like cosmetics, because basically I was bored in the class and I want just to, fill my time. So I pass around catalogs to my friends, sell them stuff. And I can make a lot of money, buying a lot of gadgets back then.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's when the journey starts.
But
And
it's quite rare, isn't it, for a young girl to A, run their own business, and B, also to sell stuff, isn't it? It's not the common path for a girl. They're not sort of encouraged to do that, are they? To go out and sell stuff.
yeah, of course.
So how did that work with you? Because I'm curious to know how you decided that was okay to do that, and also how you sort of, faced any kind of criticism you may have faced for behaving in that kind of way. This is not what girls do. Or did you have any of that?
I don't think it's specifically for, this is not allowed for girls or anything like that, but my parents being Japanese, okay, Japanese is a culture in Indonesia that we are so polite, right? And we want to give everyone everything we have, right?
Right.
So selling something is, like, frowned upon. Why do you sell it if you can give it to people? But back then, I don't know. I think I just want to make money, more money, because my parents didn't give more allowance back then. I need more money, I think, to buy whatever, and I just do it. And then fast forward when I was working, and then I love books so much. I used to read one book per day. Now I read two books per day.
Wow.
I read a lot back then, and every time I need to buy from online store, they don't have shopping cart. So I start thinking, how they don't have shopping cart? I can make better than this. That's how I make my first business, is online bookstore, kutukutubuku.com back then. In 2007. So after 1 year doing it on the side while working, I resigned from my company and full time on kutukutubuku.com online bookstore. Before I make that decision, that's a tough decision because I must ask my father for permission, like, because my dad paid for my education, right? So I have to
Right.
I have to ask him first. And then my dad said, how are you gonna eat selling books, How are you gonna do this thing? And the truth is, I don't know, I don't know. So I asked my partner and my mentor to come with me and talk to my dad about it. Finally, he said yes.
Right.
And yeah, that's the beginning of everything, actually.
Right. Was that a natural decision for you? Were you completely confident it was the right thing to do? Because A, your parents had invested in your education. B, you already had a job. C, you didn't even know if this was going to work, right? So
Yeah.
what sort of thoughts were going through your head at that time?
It was so natural back then. It felt natural, passion. It's my passion. Books are my passion. My family background, my dad working for government, my mom was a teacher. So all my family, my extended family working in the same place, like government or teacher. Nobody was entrepreneur. So I'm one of the weird one, in the family. But I was working on a lot of projects back then, IT projects for my company, my company, and I don't enjoy it. I enjoy more working with books and selling books and everything, and technology. for myself, my own company. It's just a natural and easy decision for me back then. I do what I love.
So you started the business, the two of you originally, you and a co-founder. Is that how it worked out?
Yeah, we started with 4 people and then eventually down to 2.
Right. And did that work out? Did you manage to keep the business going? What was the story with that?
Okay, so we kept the business going for a long time. It was a completely healthy business until just 2 years ago, and I have to close it down this February this year. A lot of things, because my focus was not there, and I couldn't find another, management to help me with that. Even though the organization can run by itself, but you have to have someone to think about the vision for the future. I was not there, so I decided to close it down.
Where does the website Nulis Buku come in?
Okay, nulisbuku.com came to solve my other problem. I started writing books in 2004 and start publishing my book in 2005, right? I thought it was easy, but after writing 15 books, my 16th book got rejected suddenly by the publisher. And this is how I know that this is not easy. In Indonesia, we have 200 million people in population, and 100 million of them are young people. But the publisher in Indonesia are only, I think, 2,000. It's not enough, to cater all these needs, right? So people wants to write their story, but nowhere to publish. This is how I know we need the solution. So I started to find, partners, and I have partners. We create nulisbuku.com. It's the first online self-publishing and print-on-demand platform. Basically, you can write anything, upload it to our website platform, and then when someone buy it, it gets printed on demand, even if it's just one, and you get the royalty. So it's very easy. Back then, if you want to do this thing, you have to print at least minimum 3,000 books and paying around $2,500.
Right.
It's not accessible, but now everybody can do it. No cost.
It's print on demand. And how many writers do you have at the moment?
We have more than 50,000
Right.
writers, and I think 6,000 books uploaded.
Right.
But our community right now, readers and writers, is actually approaching 500,000.
Right. So the readers are already on the platform as people are writing. Are they sort of writing and publishing bits as they go along and getting the readers involved?
So this is the thing. We realized that in nulisbuku.com, writers only come when they want to upload their book, right? So writing is a lonely process, and a lot of people quit writing because they don't have this spirit, and I realized this, and I want them to write inside the platform. So we decided to create one more platform. We call it Storyal.co. Storyal is an online writing platform, so you can go there and start a book and write per chapter. Every chapter you can share it to social media, and people can make comments on your book, on the book. And when it's finished, it can get printed on demand on nulisbuku.com, So we create this whole ecosystem of readers and writers.
Right. Because you're also building in the initial readers as well, because they're part of the journey, aren't they?
Exactly.
They're reading it at an early stage, commenting, and that shapes it as well. The writer gets some feedback, some ideas, and I guess the readers feel, I've contributed to this somehow. So you get fans built in.
Exactly.
Early on, right?
Loyalty. That's what we're looking for, right?
Yeah. And your point as well about writers only ever go to these platforms when they want to upload a book is really important, isn't it? Because I wonder how many books never get published.
Exactly.
Maybe 99% of all the books in the world have never got published, right? Only 1% ever make it to publishing, right? Everybody's got a book on their laptop or in their head, right?
Yeah.
So if they go to a platform like Storyal, it's one way of getting it out, isn't it? And start the ball rolling.
It's a way to getting it out. And then in 2016 early, I realized that people sometimes in Indonesia, we don't have this reading culture, reading book, right? Reading book. But it's very important. I think our literacy rate was number 62 out of 64 or something in the world. That's so sad. So I was thinking, this is important. Literacy important more than reading, writing, but comprehension. And then I see where Indonesia, we have a lot of young people, so I see where they usually hang out. Oh, they actually read articles on younger portals like BuzzFeed. So I thought, oh, probably I should go there, because that's where they hang out. So that's how I create Zeta Media. It's a digital media network. We start with 10 portals. It's all for young people with a lot of segments. For example, we have trivia.id. It's a for lifestyle portal. For young people, we have mula.id. It's also for young people, but only talking about personal finance. We also have virala.id. It's all about creativity. So basically, all portal that we built is all for young people. It's user generated content. So it's their own, authentic story, but we curate it. We curate it so it's high quality. So it's their own story, and they can put their story in a form of 1,000 word and 1,500 words article, so it's easier. So they can start from there. So if they think they can move further, they can write a book, but they start from there.
Right. So it's kind of publishing, isn't it? But at an easy entry level and easily consumable as well for young people.
Exactly. That's what I want. Yeah.
I'm curious. You've got these 3 projects, and we haven't even talked about your events yet, Ollie, but you've got these 3 companies. You've got Zeta Media, Nulisbuku, and you've got Storyal.co. You listen to some entrepreneurs and they say, you've got to focus, you've got to do one thing and one project, and, that's the one thing that you're going to do, and that's going to be the big ticket that's going to take you to your dreams and future and so on. But you're sort of splitting yourself over 3 things here. Or is that how it works? I mean, how do you look at that? I mean, how do you sort of justify having, a split focus between 3 different projects?
But I am focused. I am focused to create a creative, platform for writers and readers. That's my focus.
Right.
So I am already focused. But, in terms of company, Nulisbuku and Storyal already have their own management team. They have their own CEOs and everything. When I found it, then I built it and I find partners to run it. Then now I am working in Zeta Media. So if you say quote unquote focus, my focus is right now in Zeta Media. So I work daily in Zeta Media now.
And how was it bringing a management team to run the 2 other businesses? Was that an easy process for you? Because this is like your baby, isn't it? You grew this thing, you built these companies, and now somebody else is taking it over. Tell us a little bit about that process and what you learned during that.
Yeah, of course, finding partners is not easy. It's like finding a boyfriend or a husband, right? It's tough. What basically I can do is basically building my personal branding, so people know exactly what I'm passionate about, what I like and everything. And people who's in the same frequency as I am, they like the same thing. They can, attract it to me, and they will talk to me. That's how I know people. And then I would pick 1 or 2 that is young and have the same vision as me, and I would talk to them. I would talk to them. I have this project, and I thought you will love running it, and this will be great. Do you want to join me? So that's usually how I do it. I usually attract them anyway. It's not, if I think about it, I never make a real effort to find them. Sometimes people try to find them on LinkedIn, for example, or social media, whatever. But most people that work with me right now just come because they like me first. They talk to me as a friend first. Then we know that, oh, you have the strength that I don't have, and you have the skill I don't have, and why not? But we have the same vision, the same passion. Why not we work together?
Interesting. So by putting yourself out there, you can attract people, as you say, on the same frequency. And that's probably for you the most important factor, isn't it? For making sure they're the right person.
Show your work, just show it, what you're doing, I have no shame or, like some people like shy, I don't want to show what I do and everything, but I always show what I do.
Exactly. But that also, for some people, invites criticism, doesn't it? And that's what I think stops people. I think if you do anything that's amazing or anything that's worth talking about, you're going to have people who are critical as well, aren't you? That's natural. And the key is not to focus on them, but to focus on the people that you're delighting. And I'm sure with your projects, there's lots of fans, right? But there also may be some critics as well who sort of look at it and think, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't like the way you're doing it and so on. I'm curious to know, when you're actually growing these projects, was it easy to hand over, you know, to let go of Nulisbuku or Storyal?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I don't have attachment problem, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
I let go things easily, actually. So let go as in not attached to anything, you know. I built it and it's growing, but I believe and I trust this new partner that he can do it better, you know, because I am the one picking him anyway, you know. So I trust him 100%, and it's never been hard for me. The process was smooth. And also about criticism that you're talking about. I never care about criticism, but if it's constructive, you know, it's said to me in constructive way, of course I would listen. But if it's just another like comments, bullying and everything, I don't care about it, you know, because I don't think I am like that. You only hurt by criticism if you think it's true, but I don't think it's true, you know. I do what I can.
And obviously, you're a female entrepreneur in Indonesia, and you started, I guess, before really there were, you know, many role models of female entrepreneurs in Indonesia, right?
Yes.
So, what's it like today for being a female entrepreneur in Indonesia? Around you, are sort of young females getting it? Are they sort of breaking out of traditional stereotype roles? Are they sort of doing the kind of businesses that men would be doing as well? What's the scene like there now?
In Indonesia right now, I think for entrepreneurship in general, Indonesian have it, you know, in them. They love to talk, they love to gather, you know, they have a lot of communities, and they love to sell. They can use anything to sell, you know, all this technology, they will use it. They will sell from WhatsApp, they will sell from BlackBerry, whatever. But, you know, the question is not selling, but how to grow what they start already, right? So it's not day-to-day selling and using their own skill, but also growing the company and sustain it. That's the question. And yeah, it was not much back then, female entrepreneurs doing this, building companies. That's how I started Girls in Tech Indonesia back in 2011 with my partner Anantia. We started with simple meetups, and now we try to focus on specific message. Last year we worked with Twitter with Women Win. It's a idea competition. So I think we have 10 finalists and 3 winners back then. But then after that, I'm thinking even the winners of this competition, they still think that they're not enough entrepreneur. You know, like they feel like, oh, I cannot do this. This is too much and everything. So that's how I know, okay, I must step back a little bit to the mentality, you know, not only the skills, but the mental to build business. So I start another campaign this year with Anan. We call it Why Not? So if you want to be a techpreneur, why not? If you want to create a robot, why not? You want to be an astronaut, why not? You know, that's the idea. We work with Facebook this time and several other partners. We want to create meetups, and then after the meetups, they got inspired enough, they can join the workshops. And after the workshop, they have the skills. They can learn from mentors in mentors dinners. You know, it's a small dinner. They can ask anything from the mentors, women mentors. Hopefully from there, they can get inspired to basically solve problems in the community and their daily life with technology.
Isn't that great? So you must have experience of working with these young females directly too. What sort of challenges do they face? What sort of common challenges do they face? You know, when they talk to you and say, hey, look, you know, I want to do this, but, you know, this challenge, what sort of keeps happening? What do you see at the moment here in Indonesia?
I think the number one challenge is themselves, right? The voices in their head that said, this is not going to work. You know, that's, I think, the biggest challenge, because people keep postponing on starting because of this thing. So they plan, they never do it. And probably the second thing is finding partners and finding skills that they don't have. So, for example, they have ideas, they can do marketing, they can do sales and everything, but they cannot do the technology, and they start, confused how to start or find partners in this category, in this field.
Hmm.
And after that, probably funding, to grow the company more. And if they're married, and have family,
Right.
the problem would be not problem, challenges would be the family itself, time to do that.
So are these, apart from the last one, obviously, are these three challenges that you mentioned particularly hard for women, more so than men entrepreneurs?
Mm.
So like the voices in their head, finding a co-founder, raising money. Is it harder for a female entrepreneur to do that in general?
I think so, because I think women are too idealistic and hard to themselves.
Hmm.
Men in general, this is very general. Usually men are far more confident with themselves, right?
Hmm.
Probably they only have 10% of what people need, but they would act like they have 100%. They can do it.
Right.
They can do it well, right?
Hmm.
While women, when they have 70% of what people need, they would act as if they only have 20%. So that's
Hmm.
how I feel about women. I'm speaking about myself as well,
Right.
because I've for many, many, many years, I think at least 7 years of my entrepreneurship, I never take investment money from other people. So
Hmm.
it's all my money or my partner's money, and we're gonna, make it profitable and put it back to the business and everything. But it slow us down. Just this year that I am able to do that. It's a lot of work with myself too, to
Right.
to make sure that that you can do it actually, but you don't want to do it.
So what has changed in those 7 years? You say that maybe you didn't have the confidence to go and raise money, or, obviously that's made things a lot more of a challenge for you, but now you're able to do that. So what has changed with you? I'm curious because obviously that's a lesson learned for other female entrepreneurs as well.
What has changed? Basically, like I told you, now I read a lot of books, right? When whatever knowledge I need, I read it immediately, so I can read more than two actually per day. When I have the knowledge, my mind begin to open, and then of course I get invited to events all over the world, either to speak or just to attend conference. And I meet a lot of entrepreneurs globally. That's how I
Hmm.
see the scene, that's I become more confident of what I have. And also that this motivation that I think I need to set an example for the
Hmm.
young women to be able to be brave, you know.
Well, it goes back to your first point, doesn't it, Ollie, about voices in your head. And I think that faces any entrepreneur. And that really comes down as well to the people they're surrounded by, isn't it? That, when you start as an entrepreneur, like you did, you had to get your business partner and mentor in to talk to your father. So it really depends about the people who are around you in your network. And for women, that may be harder because naturally they're not plugged into an entrepreneurial network, are they? They're networked with other women and families and so on. And that may be, in a way, pulling them back a little bit because they may be contributing to the voices in their head. That's why I always sort of feel, one of the challenges for entrepreneurs is the networks that we operate. That's obviously, a real indicator of how successful that person will become. And for a woman as well, it's going to be a challenge, isn't it? Because they have to kind of reinvent themselves in a way. They have to find new networks to, integrate with, or new people, like the meetups that you run, like Girls in Tech or
Exactly.
Startup Local and so on.
Exactly.
So do you sort of see that sort of traditional holding back of women who have the sort of potential in Indonesia? When they come to your events, they meet entrepreneurs and that sort of opens doors for them?
Yeah, I believe so, like when they attend networks like Girls in Tech or Startup Local, I have the other meetups as well, Startup Local for more general audience. When they see the speaker first and then they get inspired, then they talk with the fellow audience, they will have this energy. I'm very careful with my energy. Everybody said, how do you do all these things? I wrote 28 books and I run companies and I run non-profits. How do you do it? People ask me that thing. I said because I keep my energy, like I really reserve it. I really keep it. I don't spend it with a lot of energy taker. These people who's negative all the time, who cannot see the big picture. I never hang out with these people. I really select my network. So this is the message that I'm trying to give to the young women as well. Choose your circle wisely. Of course, know what you want first. That's important. What is your goal? What is your passion? What is your skill? What do you want exactly? And when you know that, then hang out with people with the same vision. That will help you a lot.
If you were to sit with a younger Ollie today, 20, 21 years old, allow her to make the mistakes that she's going to make, because that's all part of the journey. But if you were to offer her advice, anything that you've learned in the journey, what would you say to her?
What would I say to her? I would say to her, do more,
Do more. How can you do more? You're doing enough, surely.
I was still holding back. I was holding back a lot, because I think I can do more and I can be more right now, but I was holding back. So the growth of my company is not as much as I expect it to be. So if I can go back, I would say do more, take it, the investment, anything, do anything you can, but don't hold back. That time I was holding back a lot.
Why do you think you were holding back? Was it just confidence?
Yes, the confidence that I thought I can do it, but in other ways too, I think people want convenient, right? Women, me, I thought back then I want more convenient. If I probably do more, how about my convenience? Probably I will get busier and everything. What if I don't have time for this and that? But that's just stupid, I think. Because in the end, if you really enjoy it, like what I'm doing right now, I enjoy everything that I do. I don't feel it like it takes up my time. It gives me energy the whole day. So I enjoy it so much.
Well, I think your story is an inspiration, Ollie, and thank you for coming onto the show and sharing it with us today. And
thanks a lot.
I'm sure people listening to your story as well will be inspired to take action. Where do people find out more about you? Do you have a website that we can go and check you out?
Yeah, you can go to my blog, salsabila.com, salsa, BEELA.com, or follow me on Twitter at salsabila.
Fantastic. That's Ollie, everybody. Mentor, entrepreneur, founder, author. Go and check her out at the address provided. We'll put it in the show notes for you, plus all her other projects and websites. Go and check out her meetups and go and say hello. Say you heard her on Founder FM. It's an inspiring story. I'm sure she could offer some great advice. Ollie, thanks so much for coming on and sharing with us today.
Thank you, Graham.
Founder FM, voice of the entrepreneur. Find out more at www.founderfm.com.